You are 7 years old. That is when your life quietly stops belonging to you. There is no ceremony, no music, no heroic beginning, just a morning that feels heavier than all the others. Your mother tightens the strap on your small bundle, too tight. Her hands shake, though she pretends they don't. Your father stands nearby, staring at the road, not because it's interesting, but because looking at you would make this harder. No one asks if you are ready. Readiness is a luxury for people who get to choose. You are being sent to a castle, not to chase glory, not to become a legend, but to serve. They tell you it's an honor, a chance, a future made of steel and pride. You nod, because good children nod, and because crying would only make them hesitate. So you turn, and you walk away. The castle rises ahead of you, stone towers cutting into a gray sky. Cold, patient. It doesn't look welcoming. It looks like it has been waiting. The gate opens with a deep, tired creak. Inside, the air smells of smoke, wet stone, and something sour you don't recognize yet. Horses snort, metal clinks, men shout orders without explanation. No one looks at you for long. You are small. You are unnoticed. You are replaceable. A steward takes your name and forgets it almost immediately. You are handed work before you are shown where to sleep. A broom, a bucket, a gesture toward the floor. This is your first lesson. The castle does not care who you were before you arrived. By midday, your hands blister. By evening, your legs shake. By night, you understand something important. This place is not cruel. It is indifferent. Later, someone finally tells you what you are now, a page. It sounds noble, important, but you quickly learn what it truly means. You fetch, you carry, you clean what others refuse to touch. You polish boots thick with mud and worse. You learn when to lower your eyes, when to disappear, when to stay silent. Sometimes they hand you a wooden sword, not as a gift, but as a test. You swing, you miss, you fall, and when you fall, you are expected to rise before the pain finishes arriving. No one praises effort, only improvement. At night, you sleep on straw. The room smells of sweat and exhaustion. Other boys whisper. Some miss home. Some dream out loud. Most say nothing. You stare at the wooden beams above you. You think of your mother's hands, your father's silence, the road you walked without knowing where it truly led. This is not the beginning of a legend. This is the beginning of erosion, of being worn down, reshaped, hardened. And as sleep finally takes you, one thought settles deeper than the ache in your bones. If this is only the first day, what will the years do to you? Morning comes without kindness. A bell rings, not to wake you gently, but to remind you that rest is temporary. You rise before your body agrees. The stone floor is cold, colder than yesterday. You pull on clothes that never fully dry, still stiff with yesterday's sweat. No one asks if you slept. Outside, the yard waits, gray, open, unforgiving. Wooden swords are stacked against the wall. Not enough for everyone. That is intentional. The older boys move first. They know where to stand. They know when to stay quiet. You learn by watching, and by being wrong. When the sword finally reaches your hands, it feels heavier than it looks. Your arms shake. The instructor notices. He does not correct you gently. He corrects you publicly. A sharp word, a sharper strike to your shoulder. Not enough to break bone, just enough to teach memory. Pain is the language here, and it is spoken fluently. You train until your thoughts blur. Swing, step, block, wrong, again, wrong, again. When you fall, the ground greets you hard. No one helps you up, because no one will on a battlefield, so you rise alone. By midday your hands bleed. No one offers bandages. Blood, you are told, will make you grip tighter. Hunger gnaws quietly. You eat when allowed, what is given, never enough to feel full, just enough to continue. Afternoons are for service. You scrub armor that weighs more than you do. You carry messages you don't understand. You stand still for hours, learning patience the hard way. You learn where not to stand. You learn which voices mean danger, which silences mean worse. At dusk, you are tested again, running, climbing, holding positions until your muscles tremble. Someone vomits, someone cries, both are ignored. Weakness is not punished, it is erased. Night returns. You collapse onto straw, your body buzzing with pain that refuses to settle. Whispers return. One boy talks about running away. No one responds, because everyone knows the gates open outward, but rarely inward again. You close your eyes. Your body hurts in places you didn't know existed, but something else hurts too, quieter, deeper. Each day here takes something, a softness, a question, a memory, and replaces it with something harder, something sharper. You are not becoming strong, you are becoming shaped, and stone does not care what it crushes, as long as the shape remains. Morning no longer surprises you. It simply arrives. You wake before the bell now, your body learning what your mind still resists. Pain greets you like something familiar. Not sharp, not new, just present. You stand anyway. The yard looks the same as always. Gray stone, cold air, silent waiting. But today feels different, heavier. Training begins without warning. Real blades stay sheathed, but the wooden swords feel no lighter than steel. You were paired with a boy taller than you, stronger, older. This is not an accident. You circle each other slowly, feet sliding on damp ground, breath held too long. The signal comes. You swing late. He does not. The impact knocks the air from your chest. You stumble. You almost fall. Almost is not enough. You recover. You swing again. This time you connect. The sound surprises you. So does the warmth. You look down. Blood beads along your knuckles, bright against dirt and skin. For a moment, everything stops. The yard feels quiet. Your heart pounds too loudly. Then the instructor's voice cuts through the air. Continue. No concern, no pause, just the command. You fight on, not because you want to, but because stopping is not allowed. The match ends quickly, not in victory, not in defeat, just exhaustion. Your hands shake as you step back. Blood drips onto the stone. No one rushes to you. Someone tosses you a dirty cloth. You wrap it tightly, too tightly. Pain sharpens. Good, you think. That means it's real. Later, during chores, you notice how differently you move. Careful now, measured. You protect the injured hand without thinking. This is another lesson. Injury does not excuse you from duty. It simply becomes part of it. That night, you clean armor in silence. Dark stains cling to the metal. Older blood, dried stories. You scrub harder than necessary. Something inside you is restless. When you finally lie down, sleep does not come easily. You keep seeing the moment, the strike, the sound, the blood. Not with fear, with curiosity. You realize something that unsettles you. The pain did not break you, it focused you, and that frightens you more than the injury ever could, because now you understand, this place is changing you, not all at once, but drop by drop, cut by cut, until one day you may no longer remember who you were before the first blood was spilled.
They talk about honor often, always in strong voices, always from high places. Honor is spoken of like a shield, something that protects you. But you are learning the truth. Honor does not stop pain. It does not soften hunger. It does not warm cold stone floors. It only explains them. Days pass. They begin to blur together. Training, service, silence. You grow stronger. Not taller, not faster, just harder. You stop flinching when shouted at. You stop expecting fairness. You stop waiting for kindness. These things slow you down. One afternoon, you were summoned inside the keep. This alone feels strange. Pages are not called for important matters. You follow the steward through narrow halls, your footsteps echoing too loudly. A knight waits inside. His armor is polished, his cloak clean. He smells nothing like the yard. He looks at you for a long moment, as if measuring something invisible. Then he speaks. He tells you a story about loyalty, about duty, about how sacrifice shapes great men. He says the kingdom survives because boys like you learn obedience early. He smiles when he says it. You nod. You always nod. You were given an order, simple, quiet. You are to deliver a sealed message after nightfall. No questions. You take the letter carefully, as if it might burn you. That night, the castle feels different. Shadows stretch longer. Torches flicker like nervous thoughts. You walk quickly. The message is delivered. You do not know what it says. You are not meant to. The next morning, someone is gone. A servant you recognize. A man who once slipped you extra bread. No one speaks his name. Later, you hear whispers. Treason, punishment, necessary action. Honor, they say, demanded it. You feel something twist inside you. Not guilt, understanding. You realize your hands were part of it. Not directly, but enough. That is another lesson. Clean hands are not required, only obedience. From that day on, the word honor sounds different, hollow, like armor struck too many times. You still train, still serve, still endure, but something has shifted. You no longer imagine becoming a knight. You imagine surviving long enough to decide who you will be, if that choice is ever allowed. At night, as you lie awake, you wonder how many orders are wrapped in beautiful words, how many truths are buried beneath ceremony, and whether the castle teaches honor or simply uses it to make cruelty easier to accept.
Obedience is praised here, not loudly, not openly, but constantly. It is praised in who is promoted, in who is spared, in who disappears without explanation. You learn this without being told. Orders come more often now, small ones at first. Stand here, watch that door, say nothing. You follow them perfectly. Perfection is safety. One evening you are called again, a different knight this time, older. His armor is scratched, not polished. He does not speak of honor, he speaks of necessity. The castle, he says, survives on quiet hands, hands that do not ask, hands that do not hesitate. He looks at you as he speaks, not at your face, at your posture, at how still you stand. You are chosen. That is the word he uses. Chosen sounds better than used. Your task is simple. You are to guide someone through the lower corridors, a prisoner. You are not told why, you are not told where he is going, only that your silence matters. The man is older, his steps are slow, his wrists are bound. He looks at you once, not with fear, with relief, as if seeing a child makes what is coming seem less terrifying. That thought makes your stomach tighten. You lead him down stone steps where torches burn low. Each footstep echoes like an accusation. Halfway down, he stumbles. You hesitate, just for a moment. The guard behind you clears his throat. You understand. You pull the man upright. Your grip is firm, efficient. The corridors narrow. The air grows damp. You stop at a door you have never opened before. You knock once. The door opens. You step aside. Your duty is finished. The door closes. You do not wait to hear what happens next. You walk away slowly, because running would mean fear, and fear is noticed. That night, sleep refuses you, not because of guilt, but because something else has settled inside you. Acceptance. You did exactly what was asked, nothing more, nothing less. That is how the system works. That is how it turns people into tools. In the days that follow, you are treated differently, with respect, with distance. Fewer eyes watch you. More doors open when you approach. This is the reward, not praise, trust. You understand now. Obedience is not weakness here. It is a weapon, and you have learned how to wield it, whether you want to or not.
Choice is a word you hear often, spoken by men who have many of them. For you, life moves forward one order at a time. You wake, you work, you obey. Days no longer blur, they narrow. Your world becomes hallways, commands, and consequences. One morning you are told to follow, no explanation. You are led beyond the training yard, past the places pages usually go, down steps worn smooth by centuries of feet. This is not a mistake. You can tell by how carefully everyone avoids your eyes. Inside a chamber lit by a single torch, 3 knights wait. Their armor is plain, unmarked. That alone is unsettling. You are told to kneel. You do. Kneeling is easy now. They speak quietly about unrest, about rumors, about threats that grow when ignored. They need someone unnoticed, someone small, someone reliable, someone who knows how to stay silent. They look at you, not to ask, to confirm. You are assigned a task. You are to carry information beyond the castle walls. Not a letter this time. Your memory will be the message. Names, places, times. You repeat them once. That is enough. No oath is spoken, no blessing given. You are dismissed. As you leave, one knight says something strange. This is for the good of the realm. You do not respond. You have learned that words like good
are often used to cover sharp edges. That night you stand at the gate. The world outside feels unreal, larger, looser. For the first time in years, you are allowed to walk away. But it is not freedom, it is assignment. The road stretches ahead of you, quiet and dark. You walk alone. Every step feels wrong, not because you are afraid, but because you are uncertain. Uncertainty is new. You reach the village before dawn. You listen, you watch, you remember. Men speak more freely when they believe children are harmless. You collect truths the way others collect coins, carefully, silently. By evening, your head is full. You turn back. Halfway to the castle, you hear hooves. You step off the road. A patrol passes. They do not see you. You realize something then. You could keep walking, disappear into the dark. No one would stop you. The thought lasts only a moment, because another follows it. You know too much now. The castle would not forget you. And more importantly, you no longer know who you would be without it. So you return. The gate opens. No one greets you. No one thanks you. Your information is taken. Your presence dismissed. Later, lying on your straw bed, you understand the truth. They did not give you a choice. They gave you a path and taught you to walk it until turning back felt impossible.
Invisibility is not magic. It is practice. You learn how to stand where shadows fall naturally, how to breathe without drawing attention, how to exist without being remembered. The castle teaches this skill well. You are moved often now, not upward, sideways, between duties that do not appear important but always seem to matter later. You carry messages that never touch paper. You wait in rooms until conversations forget you are there. You open doors at the right moment and close them quietly behind you. People speak freely around those they overlook. You are overlooked perfectly. Faces blur, voices mix, but patterns remain. Who meets whom? Who avoids whom? Who speaks of loyalty too often? At night, you write nothing down. You do not need to. Your memory has become a locked chest. One evening, you are stationed near the council hall. Your task is simple. Stand still, say nothing. The door is closed, but stone carries sound well. You hear raised voices, arguments about borders, taxes, soldiers, then a name, a familiar one, a boy you trained with years ago, promoted quickly, too quickly. They speak of him carefully, not with praise, with calculation. You understand, success can be dangerous. Later that week, the boy is reassigned, far from the capital. Officially, it is an honor. Unofficially, it is exile. He leaves smiling. You do not. Another lesson settles in. Visibility brings risk. Silence brings survival. You adjust. You speak less, move slower, lower your gaze further. People stop remembering your face. That is when the real work begins. You are sent where secrets rot, storerooms beneath the keep, unused corridors, places meant to be forgotten. You find things there, crates miscounted, seals broken and replaced, footprints where none should be. You report quietly. No one reacts visibly. Things change anyway. Men vanish from rosters, supplies reroute, orders shift. No explanation is ever given. That is how you know your words mattered. One night, as you pass a mirror, you barely recognize yourself. Not because you look different, but because you look like nothing. No expression, no presence, exactly what is required.
You feel no pride, only clarity. You have become useful by becoming invisible. And the most dangerous things in the castle are the ones no one remembers seeing. Silence keeps you alive. That is what you are taught. What they do not tell you is what it costs. The more you hear, the less you speak. The less you speak, the harder it becomes to remember what your voice sounds like. You watch things happen now that once would have shocked you. Arguments that end quietly. Orders that erase lives without blood. No swords drawn, no cries, just decisions. You stand close enough to hear them, far enough away to be forgotten. That distance becomes your home. One night you are sent to observe, nothing more. A meeting in a side chamber. 2 men enter, only one leaves. No struggle, no noise. You do not see the act, you see the aftermath. A door opening, a man wiping his hands. He does not look at you. That is intentional. You understand the rule. If no words are exchanged, nothing happened. You report what is necessary, nothing else. Later, you notice the change. A new name appears on a list, an old one disappears. The machine continues. You are part of it. That truth settles slowly, not with guilt, with weight. Your silence allows things to move smoothly, too smoothly. You begin to feel the cost in small ways. You stop reacting to screams in the distance. You stop wondering who they belong to. Sleep comes faster. That frightens you. You remember when nightmares used to wake you. Now, nothing does. One evening, a young page approaches you. New, wide-eyed. He asks how to survive here. You look at him. You see yourself. Years ago. You want to tell him to run. You do not. Instead, you say the truth. Do your work. Be quiet. And don't let them remember you. He nods, grateful. You feel something tighten in your chest. This is how it spreads. Not through orders, through lessons passed quietly from one child to another. That night you sit alone. You try to recall a time when silence felt like peace. You cannot. You realize then, silence is not empty. It is full of everything you chose not to stop. And one day, it will ask for payment. Regret does not arrive loudly. It does not shout. It does not accuse. It waits for the right moment. That moment comes on an ordinary day, too ordinary. You are sent to escort a visitor through the outer hall, a woman this time, older, travel-worn. She holds herself carefully, as if every step has already been argued over inside her mind. She is not a prisoner. That is what makes it worse. She speaks politely, thanks you for your guidance. Her voice trembles only once, when she mentions a name you recognize, a servant who vanished months ago. She asks if you know where he is. You do. Not precisely, but enough. You lower your eyes. You say nothing. Silence has become automatic. She nods slowly, as if she expected this answer, but disappointment still slips through. Not anger, not accusation, just loss. When you leave her at the chamber door, she thanks you again for your kindness. That word lingers, kindness. It follows you long after she is gone. That night, sleep resists you, not because of images, but because of questions. You think about how easy it would have been to say something small, a hint, a direction, a warning. You tell yourself it would not have changed anything. You tell yourself silence kept you alive. Both things may be true. That is what makes it unbearable. The next morning you hear news. The woman has been detained for asking too many questions. Your chest tightens. This time the feeling has a name: regret. It does not ask what you did. It asks what you did not. You move through the day slower than usual. You miss a signal. Someone notices. A glance lingers on you longer than it should. That night you sit awake. You understand now. Silence protects you until it demands loyalty in return. And loyalty, once given, is rarely satisfied. This is the first time you wish you had spoken, not because it would have saved her, but because it might have saved something of yourself. You realize then, regret is not pain, it is memory refusing to stay quiet, and it has only just begun. The past is patient. It does not chase you. It waits for you to slow down. You feel it first as distraction, a missed step, a delayed response, small errors, the kind that draw attention. Attention is dangerous. You correct yourself quickly, too quickly. That draws more eyes. One afternoon you are summoned again, not to a chamber, to the yard. That alone is unsettling. Public summons are meant to remind others. A knight you do not recognize studies you. You recognize the look, assessment. He asks about your duties, your routines, your loyalties. The questions are simple. Your answers are perfect. Still, he watches you a moment longer than necessary. Then he nods. Dismissed. As you walk away, you feel it clearly. You have been noticed. That night the knock comes, soft, measured, at your door. You open it. The young page stands there, the one you advised months ago. He looks shaken. He tells you what happened. He spoke once, just once, asked the wrong question. Now he is being reassigned. Tonight. He asks what to do. You see the path ahead of him clearly. You have walked it already. You tell him nothing useful, only what you were taught. Be quiet. Do what you are told. The words taste bitter. He nods, thanks you, leaves. You do not see him again. The past does not shout. It reminds. In the days that follow, you feel watched, not constantly, just enough, a presence at the edge of your vision. You understand the message. Regret has made you unstable. Instability is a risk. You return to silence with effort. You bury questions deeper, but something has changed. Silence no longer feels neutral. It feels chosen, and choices have consequences. One evening you pass the outer gate. For a moment you imagine walking through it, not fleeing, just leaving. The thought lingers longer than before. That is dangerous too. You move on, but the past has knocked, and now that you have heard it, it will not stop. Loyalty is not declared. It is demanded and then tested. The test arrives quietly, a letter slipped beneath your door. No seal, no signature, just words. Words that ask you to betray someone you respect, someone who trusts you. The paper trembles slightly in your hand, not from fear, from anticipation. You read it again and again. Each line digs into your conscience. Each word tastes like ash. You remember your training, silence, obedience, discipline. But this is different. This is not obedience to a lord. This is obedience to survival. A choice stands before you. One path preserves loyalty, the other protects yourself. The yard outside is cold. Gray light presses against the walls. You grip your sword lightly, but it offers no guidance. Your squire notices your hesitation. He asks nothing. He watches. You feel the weight of his gaze. Hours pass. No decision comes easily. Every instinct screams one way. Every memory whispers another. Finally, night falls. You sit alone in your chamber, the letter on the table, candlelight flickering across its words. You understand now. Loyalty is not honor. It is calculation. It is endurance. It is choosing when to bend and when to break. You make your choice. Not perfect, not heroic, but necessary. Sleep does not follow. It never does after such nights. You lie awake, feeling the gravity of action and inaction alike. Tomorrow the test will continue. The walls will watch, the hall will watch, and somewhere in the shadows, fate waits. You have passed the first moment, but the war for loyalty never truly ends. The castle has places no one claims to remember. Rooms without names, hallways without purpose, doors that are never locked because no one thinks to open them. You are sent to one of these places, not as punishment, not as reward, as necessity. A passage beneath the keep has collapsed. Someone must check what lies beyond. Someone expendable, someone trusted. You carry a torch. Its light trembles against the walls, revealing old markings scratched into stone, names, dates, promises half finished. This place was once used, then forgotten. The air is thick, heavy with dust and time. You step carefully. Your boots disturb nothing. That is the strangest part. No footprints, as if no one has walked here in years. You find them eventually. Cells, small, narrow, unforgiving. Some doors hang open, others remain shut. You do not open those. You have learned better. On the wall of one cell, a symbol is carved, rough, familiar. It matches a mark you have seen before, on an old ledger, beside a name that vanished quietly. You understand. This is where inconvenient people were kept until they stopped being inconvenient, until they were forgotten. Your torch flickers. For a moment, you imagine hearing voices, not screams, whispers, questions that were never answered. You move on, deeper. You find a small chamber at the end. Inside, a table, a chair, chains fixed to the wall, and something else, a child's shoe, old, cracked. Your chest tightens. You do not know who it belonged to. That makes it worse. You stand there longer than you should, long enough for memory to surface. Your first day, your small bundle, your mother's shaking hands. You extinguish the torch. Darkness fills the space instantly. You do not know why you do this. Perhaps to feel what they felt. Perhaps to remind yourself that forgetting is a choice. When you return, you report only what is necessary. Collapsed stone, unsafe passage, nothing of value. The chamber is sealed. The shadows remain. That night, you dream of doors that close without sound. You wake knowing something important. The castle does not only erase people, it erases places. And one day, if you are not careful, it will erase you too. The years of steel and sweat have taught you many things: how to ride without fear, how to swing without hesitation, how to endure without complaint. But some lessons do not arrive from training. They arrive from looking too closely at the edge of what you can bear. You stand on that edge now. The battlefield stretches before you. Not a field of glory, not a stage of honor, just mud, smoke, and anticipation. Your men look to you, not because they trust easily, but because they have no choice. You have fought beside them for years, shared hunger, shared frostbite, shared fear that never sleeps. And now the command falls to you alone. The line ahead is thin. The enemy waits, silent and watching. Every step forward could be your last. You grip your sword. The metal bites into your palm. Your armor feels heavier than it ever has before. The sun does not warm you. The wind does not comfort. The earth beneath you shifts, wet with rain and blood from before. You give the order. Voices rise, hesitant at first, then strong. Horses snort, armor clanks, and you realize leadership is not about courage, it is about responsibility, about seeing the line that others do not see and holding it even when every instinct screams to flee. You move forward, every step measured, every swing deliberate, every breath stolen, counted. Men fall beside you. Some rise, some do not. The line holds, for now. And as the chaos swirls around you, you understand something vital. Strength alone does not save. Discipline does. Preparation does. And above all, the ability to carry the weight of choices that others will never have to make. You are a knight, not for the sword alone, not for the title, not for the songs sung in your honor. You are a knight because you have learned to stand where others would crumble. And the battlefield will always reveal the truth of who you are. After battle, the world grows quieter. Not peaceful, not forgiving, just quiet. The cries fade, the horses wander, the smoke drifts, and you are left with what remains. Bodies, weapons, the scent of iron and earth that clings to everything. You move among the fallen, not to glorify, not to mourn. You move to witness. Every life ended carries a lesson, every silence a warning. Your squire follows close, silent, obedient, yet learning. You do not speak of the dead, not yet. Some things are too heavy for words alone. The living watch you. They expect orders, guidance, courage, and you give it, because that is what it means to carry a title, a sword, a name. At night, when the campfire flickers, you find a corner. You remove your helmet. The weight falls from your shoulders, but not from your mind. You think of those who cannot rise, those who trusted you and now lie silent. You do not cry, not here, not yet. You only breathe, slowly, deliberately, feeling the weight of all that silence pressing against your chest. And you learn another truth. A knight must carry more than weapons, more than armor, more than a code written in books or sung in tales. A knight must carry memory, the quiet burden of what has been seen and what must be endured without complaint. Some nights it is heavier than steel. Some nights it will not let you sleep. And still you rise, because the living need guidance, because the oath you swore is not for glory, it is for survival, for the weak, for the line that must hold, even when the world wants it to break. The burden of silence becomes your companion. You do not speak of it, you do not flaunt it, you only carry it and let it shape the man you have become. Dawn breaks slowly, not golden, not warm, just light spilling over the battlefield that has yet to forgive. Your armor creaks as you move. Your sword feels familiar in your hand, but every strike still demands thought, focus, precision. You are no longer a boy. You are no longer just a squire. You are a knight. But knighthood is not a shield against doubt, not a talisman against fear. It is a razor edge, balancing duty and morality on a knife-thin line. Orders arrive from your lord, simple words, but heavy with consequence. Take the ridge, hold it, do not falter. You understand the meaning beyond the syllables. Success will be measured in lives saved. Failure will be measured in bodies counted. You look at your men, some young, trembling, unsure, some hardened, scarred, silent. Their eyes seek courage, their ears seek clarity. You feel the weight of their trust, pressing down harder than your armor. Every decision now carries the echo of choices you cannot undo. The ridge awaits, enemies atop it, waiting, watching. Every step forward is calculated risk. Every movement could be the last. And yet, you move. You give commands in measured tones. You place your men where they will endure, not where they will be wasted. You do not raise your voice unnecessarily. You do not show hesitation. Your men follow, because they must, because they trust you, because you have earned it. The clash comes. Steel meets steel. Shields splinter. Horses scream. The air tastes of iron, sweat, and smoke. And in the chaos, you find a strange clarity. You are not just a soldier. You are a leader, a protector, a man who carries the line so others may live. The ridge is held. The cost is high. The ground is littered with bodies, both yours and theirs. But the line holds. And in that moment, you realize something essential. Honor is not about glory. It is about survival, for yourself and those you lead. It is about choices made under fire, decisions that will haunt you, and still moving forward, blade in hand, heart steady. Being a knight is not a story told in songs. It is a life endured, day by day, decision by decision, swing by swing. And now, at the edge of honor, you understand that each day is both a victory and a test of what kind of man you have become.
The field is silent now, not peaceful, not clean, just still. Bodies lie scattered, a grim testament to yesterday's choices. The blood has soaked into earth and cloth alike, staining armor, boots, and hands. You walk among them, not to gloat, not to mourn theatrically. You walk to remember. Each fallen man tells a story. Every open eye, every slackened jaw is a reminder of the cost of survival. Your sword is sheathed, but the weight of it lingers. More than metal, more than leather, it presses on your conscience, reminds you that every decision leaves a mark. Your men move silently. Some are broken, some are numb, some are afraid to breathe too loud. You shoulder your responsibility like an invisible chain. Every life entrusted to you demands attention, care, and sometimes harsh enforcement. The squire follows close, learning, watching, not yet understanding the full gravity of what you carry. You kneel beside a young soldier, barely older than a page, whose eyes held hope this morning and emptiness now. You touch his shoulder. Say nothing.
because sometimes words are too light for what must be felt. The camp tends to the wounded. The dying scream or moan, their voices drifting like smoke through the still air. You act, you lift, you bind, you carry. You move with precision, not haste. Every decision matters. Every slip could mean another life lost. And at night, when your armor is removed, when your gloves are soaked and your hands tremble, you feel the weight of all that blood. Not just on the battlefield, not just on your sword, but in your mind, in your heart. You are a knight, a protector, a fighter, a witness, and yet you are human. You carry the lives of others as you carry your own. The fire of camp flickers, shadows stretch long and wavering. You stare into it, silent, feeling the weight of what you cannot undo. And in the quiet, a truth settles. Strength is not the absence of fear. Courage is not the absence of doubt. A knight is defined by the willingness to carry this weight, day after day, swing after swing, life after life.
Morning comes, not with warmth, but with necessity. The wounded cry, the dying plead. Your men look to you for guidance, for a signal of what is permitted, what must be done. You learn quickly that mercy is heavy. Not the light of a candle, but the weight of a sword in your hand and a choice pressing on your conscience. A peasant woman pleads for her son. The enemy approaches. Your men hesitate. You must decide. To act with compassion may cost lives. To act with ruthlessness may preserve many more. There is no perfect answer, only consequences. You act swiftly, decisively, and later, in the quiet, you remember every face, every tear, every word left unspoken. Mercy, you realize, is a battlefield just as real as the ridge, the charge, the clash. It is not for songs or minstrels. It is for those who survive to carry it. Your squire watches, wide-eyed. He asks later, "Master, why did you let some live and others die?" You do not answer immediately, because there is no simple answer. You only show him your hands, bloodied and steady, and say, "Because a knight does what he must and carries the rest." In these moments, the code of chivalry is tested, twisted, and stretched, not by ceremony, not by oath, but by life itself. You begin to understand that a knight's true task is not to kill with honor, but to live with it. And at night, when the fires burn low, when your men sleep uneasily, and the moon reflects off your polished armor, you stare into the shadows and see the cost of mercy etched in every face you could not save. Dawn arrives quietly, too quietly. The battlefield sleeps in the aftermath, but not in peace. Bodies lie in rigid silence, armor dented, weapons abandoned, mud and blood mingling into one gray expanse. You walk among them. Each step is deliberate, each glance is measured. The fallen are not numbers, they are stories, stories you cannot forget. The camp moves slowly. Men check weapons, tend wounds, swear quietly under their breath. Even the horses seem subdued, their eyes reflecting the sorrow of those who ride them. You kneel beside the broken, the barely alive, patching together what remains with trembling hands. No one praises you, no one watches. Your work is invisible, but vital. Your squire approaches cautiously. "Master, what now?" You look to the horizon, where smoke curls from the distant village. You do not answer immediately, because there is no immediate answer. Silence hangs heavy, broken only by the groan of the wounded and the distant call of crows. You understand now that the battle is not just fought on the field. It continues in the aftermath, in the tending of the living, the burying of the dead, the counting of losses, and the slow, grinding return to life. Your armor is heavy, even without combat. The weight is not just metal, it is responsibility. Every life you touch, every order you give, carries the shadow of death beside it. Yet, amid the horror, there is necessity. Food must be prepared, wounded must be moved, supplies must be salvaged. The living insist on living. You rise, tired, broken, still accountable. A knight does not rest for long, even when the world seems to pause. You walk among your men, silent but present, a pillar in a landscape of ruin. And in that silence, you feel the quiet truth. Survival is not heroism, it is endurance, and endurance in itself is a kind of valor.
The sun rises again, pale and indifferent. You feel the weight of yesterday clinging to your shoulders. Armor presses, muscles ache, but duty does not pause. Orders come from your lord, crisp, unwavering, and exact. A neighboring village must be secured. A wounded messenger needs escort. Supplies are running low. Your choice is not whether to act, but how to act under the ever-watchful eye of consequence. Honor is a strange thing. It is measured not by applause, but by the consistency of your actions, by the decisions made when no one is looking. Your men glance at you, uncertain. They have seen the battlefield, the aftermath, the mercy, the death. They wait for you to set the tone, to show them the path. You make your way to the front, your sword light in your hand, your shield carrying the scars of countless clashes. You do not feel invincible, you feel responsible. Every decision could save or condemn. At midday, a skirmish erupts. Enemies appear over the ridge, desperate, hungry, violent. There is no fanfare, no music, only the clash of iron, the scream of men, and the dull thud, bodies hitting ground. You fight, not for glory, not for song, not for the tales minstrels will tell. You fight because the living demand it, because your men trust you, and because you have learned that honor is the hand that steadies in chaos. When it ends, the field is quiet once more. No cheers, no banners raised, just the smell of iron, sweat, and dirt. You walk among the fallen again, your eyes taking note, your hands steady, knowing that in every act, saving, punishing, or sparing, you shape the story of who you are and who you will become. Honor, you understand, is not a shield, it is a weight, one you carry not to impress, but to guide. And when night falls, when the fires burn low, and the moon paints long shadows across the land, you finally allow yourself a moment to breathe. Not for rest, not for comfort, but to remember that even in the unrelenting grind of war, even amid death and fear, you still bear your code, your honor, and for now, that is enough. The sun dips low, casting long silver shadows across the camp. The day's heat fades, but the exhaustion does not. Every muscle in your body protests, every joint whispers reminders of battles fought and survived. You walk through the tents, checking on men too weary to move on their own. A soldier coughs softly in the corner, his lips cracked, his eyes glazed with fever. You offer water, a quiet nod. No grand speech, no praise. Small acts, barely noticed, but essential. The horizon is bleeding into twilight. Smoke curls from distant fires, the scent of burned grain and timber heavy in the air. You pause for a moment, not to admire, not to rest, but to remember. Every day ends with choices. Which wounds you tend, which orders you enforce, which lives you spare. A knight is not measured by victory alone. A knight is measured by the life carried beyond the battlefield and the burdens accepted quietly along the way. Your squire approaches, hesitant. "Master, should we eat?" You glance at the meager rations, a loaf, some dried meat, water from a wooden barrel. You nod, not because it is enough, but because it is all there is. You eat slowly, each bite a reminder that survival is persistent, not glamorous, each swallow a quiet victory. As darkness settles, the campfires burn lower. Men huddle close, whispering prayers, murmuring tales of home, of loved ones, of lives interrupted by war. You listen, you do not join. Your presence is enough. A wolf howls in the distance. The night carries it across the hills and valleys. You tighten your cloak, pull your gauntlets closer, and stand watch, not because you feel brave, but because it is your duty. In this quiet, between the day's blood and the night's chill, you understand the truest lesson of knighthood. It is not the charge of a lance, nor the flash of a sword, nor the glory of songs sung in your name. It is endurance, it is constancy, it is the silver edge of dusk, the quiet choice to remain steadfast when all else falters. You breathe, the camp breathes, and somewhere in the dark, you know, tomorrow the cycle will begin again. The battlefield will call, men will falter, your code will be tested, and you will rise, not as a legend, but as a knight. Morning arrives like a thief, quiet, unforgiving. The banners of your lord flap in the wind, but they do not herald triumph, only duty waiting, relentless. You mount your horse, armor cold against your skin, the weight familiar, yet never comfortable. It presses down, reminding you of every lesson learned, every wound earned, every oath sworn. The camp stirs. Men shuffle into formation, eyes hollow, faces smeared with yesterday's dirt and blood. A drummer counts the rhythm, and suddenly the march begins. The road stretches long, fields of mud and shattered carts marking the way. Every step is heavy, every breath a reminder of mortality. The enemy waits somewhere beyond the horizon, silent, patient, inevitable. Glory, you realize, is not immediate. It hides behind sweat, fear, and endurance. It arrives quietly, in the unremarkable acts that keep the army moving, the sick alive, the wounded tended. You glance at your men. Some stumble, some grumble, some curse. You do not scold. You set the pace by example, by showing that even when exhaustion gnaws, a knight does not falter. By midday, scouts return, enemy positions visible on the ridge. You inspect your sword, your lance, your shield. The metal feels heavier today, not because of weight, but because you now carry not only your life, but the lives of those who follow you. Orders are shouted. The cavalry forms. Archers take position. Infantry brace. The tension is palpable, the kind that turns stomachs to stone and hearts to fire.
And then it begins. The charge. Hooves drum the earth. Steel clashes with steel. Screams rise and fade. You move through chaos with precision, not for heroics, but survival. Your lance finds its mark. A shield splinters. A knight falls. You ride past, mind clear, body reacting, aware that hesitation can mean death. Amid the carnage, small decisions matter most. Spare the surrendering soldier or press onward to secure advantage. Pull a comrade from the mud or hold your line against the enemy's charge. Every choice is permanent. Every glance, every strike, every restraint weighs upon your conscience. Hours pass like minutes. When the sun begins to sink, the battlefield lies scattered. Victory is uncertain. Loss is obvious. Bodies mark the terrain. Horses whinny. Crows gather. And the silence afterwards is deafening. You walk among the wounded, the dying, the dead. No songs are sung here. No trumpets sound. You clean wounds, offer water, mutter prayers. The shadows of glory stretch long and dark. Night comes. You return to camp, weary, bloodied, but alive. Your men follow, exhausted, silent. You understand once more that knighthood is not measured in banners, but in endurance, in mercy, in persistence. And in the quiet, you swear silently, again and again, to carry this weight, to honor this code, to continue through the shadows, because the world demands it, and because you are a knight.
Night drapes over the camp like wet wool. Fires flicker, but they offer little warmth. The men huddle close to smoke, their faces tired, their eyes empty. Some pray, some do not. All are aware that sleep is fleeting, that tomorrow will demand everything again. You remove your gauntlets slowly, each finger stiff, blistered, aching. Your armor rests nearby, dented, scratched, bearing the story of today's battle. You trace the edges with a tired hand, fingers brushing over imperfections, silent acknowledgments of survival. Your squire approaches quietly, hands steady, voice lower than the wind. He has cleaned your weapons, polished your helm, arranged your armor for the next morning. You nod once. It is enough. The quiet carries weight. In battle, the world is loud, immediate, violent. Here, in the aftermath, the silence is deafening. You count the living, you count the dead, you count the cost of choices made in seconds. Food is meager, bread hard, salted meat tougher than yesterday. You eat quickly, methodically, not for pleasure but for sustenance. Each bite is a reminder of necessity, of the fragile thread that holds men together between hunger, fear, and exhaustion. You hear whispers from the tents around you, stories of valor, of missed strikes, of comrades lost. Some try to boast, some try to hide tears. You say nothing. Your place is observation, reflection, preparation. The weight of responsibility sits heavier than any sword. You walk the perimeter, check the guards, check the horses, check the supplies. Every mistake could cost a life. Every oversight might doom a man you swore to protect. You adjust straps, inspect weapons, ensure the wounded are tended. These acts, small and unseen, are the true measure of a knight. Sleep finally comes, piecemeal, in stolen moments. Your body aches from yesterday, your mind churns with the living and the dead. Dreams are brief and fragmented, a flash of a lance, a scream, a friend falling. You awake, clutching your sword,
aware that dawn will not forgive hesitation. When the sun rises again, the cycle continues. The battlefield may change, the enemy may shift, but the weight remains the same. Your duty, your vigilance, your persistence, these are constant. And in the quiet of night, in the brief respite before the next charge, you understand a truth that no song can capture. Knighthood is not about glory. It is endurance. It is decision. It is the quiet burden carried day after day, moment after moment, through mud, blood, and fire. You stand again, silent, resolute. Tomorrow will come, and with it new trials. But for now, in this fleeting stillness, you are aware, you are alive. And for a night, that is both enough and never enough. The morning sun slices through mist like a pale blade. You wake before it fully rises, body stiff, muscles screaming. The camp is already stirring. Men dress in silence, weapons clinking, armor squeaking, tents flapping in the chill. Your squire waits, eyes alert, hands ready. He offers a nod. It is acknowledgement enough. No words are needed. Today you ride toward a village rumored to harbor enemy forces. Orders are brief. Commanders speak with clipped efficiency, expecting understanding without explanation. You nod along, pretending comprehension while parsing every nuance silently. The road is slick with mud and yesterday's rain. Horses strain, hooves slipping in shallow ditches, nostrils flaring, sweat dripping. Your armor bites, your gauntlets chafe, your helmet presses into your skull. But discomfort is secondary. The eyes of men, your squire, your companions, your lord, they are upon you. Failure is visible, weakness is noted. You pass the bodies left from skirmishes the night before. Crows pick at the forgotten, unclaimed. The stench of blood and rot fills the air. A lesson in reality. Glory comes slowly, if at all. The songs they sing of heroism are silent here. Only survival speaks. Your mind rehearses strategy, even as your body burns with exertion. You assess terrain, judge distance, weigh the stamina of men and horses. Every decision carries consequences, immediate and unrelenting. A scout returns, breath ragged, enemy sighted. You see them across the field, banners snapping in wind, armor glinting deceptively in sunlight. Orders are shouted. The charge will begin soon. You check your sword, lance, and shield. Polish glimmers faintly, though you know that sweat, mud, and blood will erase it in minutes. The squire's hands tighten on the reins, eyes scanning for hazards. You breathe. You prepare. When the horn sounds, the world becomes motion. Hooves strike earth like thunder. Screams pierce the cold morning air. Steel clashes. Every decision, every instinct, every second is vital. You strike, you block, you push forward. The enemy resists with equal ferocity. Bodies collide, shields splinter, swords clash. You are weight and steel and fear and training all at once. A comrade falls. You glance, your mind calculating whether to help, advance, or cover another flank. The choice is immediate. There is no time to mourn. Survival demands clarity. When the fighting finally slows, the field is littered with the broken, the wounded, and the dead. Victory tastes faint, metallic in your mouth. You count losses. You patch wounds. You tend to horses, check armor, sharpen blades. Every act, no matter how small, preserves life. It is not heroic.
It is necessary. By dusk, you are weary beyond thought. Your armor sticks to your body, sweat and blood mingling, your hands blistered, your face streaked with grime, your chest aching. The squire hands you water. You nod once. Silence holds. The camp sleeps in uneasy shifts. You remain awake longer, inspecting weapons, reviewing the day's decisions. Mistakes are catalogued in your mind. Heroines are remembered in ballads. Knights are remembered in reports, in lists of the fallen. Tonight you will sleep poorly, dreaming of faces, of choices, of the weight of duty. But tomorrow will come, as it always does, and you will arise again, armor strapped, sword at your side, bound to the endless cycle of endurance, survival, and the quiet toll of honor.
Night falls like a heavy cloth, suffocating yet necessary. The campfire flickers weakly against the darkness, casting long shadows. You sit alone, armor loosened but still clinging, sword laid carefully across your knees. The squire sleeps nearby, exhausted, breathing shallow and uneven. Silence allows thought to creep. You replay the day, each decision, each clash of steel, every life touched or taken. The code of chivalry whispers in your memory. Protect the weak, defend honor, uphold faith. Yet out here, in the mud and blood, the words seem fragile, almost theatrical. You remember the faces of those who trusted you and those you could not save. Some stare back from memory, silent and accusing. Others are blurred by fear and haste. You wonder if the oath you swore can survive the reality you live. A distant owl hoots, indifferent to suffering. Wind brushes through the tents, carrying the scents of damp earth, smoke, and unwashed men. The camp feels less like sanctuary and more like a waiting tomb. Still, this is where you must learn, endure, persist. The squire stirs. You glance at him. He watches, alert despite fatigue. Tomorrow, he will mimic your movements, repeat your actions, absorb lessons you learned through pain and error. In him, the cycle continues. Responsibility is heavier than steel, yet no one measures its weight. You pick up your sword again. The hilt is familiar now, worn by sweat and toil. Its balance speaks to you in silence. A weapon is an extension of will, but it is also a teacher. Each dent, each scratch, each nick in the blade reminds you of a moment of failure, survival, or necessity. You think of honor again, not as a banner to wave, not as songs to recite, but as choices made in shadows. You spared the surrendering, fed the starving, rode into danger to protect those who could not defend themselves. These acts are quiet, often unnoticed, yet they are the truest measure of your strength. The fire dwindles, your limbs ache, your body hums with fatigue and minor injuries. You imagine tomorrow, the rise of the sun, the cold stone underfoot, the clash of battle, the eyes of men looking to you. And you will rise again, because that is what it means to be a knight. Not the glory sung in ballads, not the praises of lords, not the herald's trumpets, but the persistence to stand again and again, to shoulder responsibility, to carry both sword and conscience through mud and blood, and still somehow strive to act rightly in a world that rarely is. You close your eyes. The fire's last sparks fade. Tomorrow will come, and you will rise. As always, you will rise. Dawn arrives without ceremony. Mist clings to the ground like a shroud. Your armor waits, cold and unyielding, yet familiar. The horse shifts beneath you, impatient, sensing the tension in the air. Your squire adjusts straps, hands trembling slightly, but steady enough. The commander's horn sounds, not a melody, but a summons. Men rise, groggy and wary, faces pale and focused. Orders are shouted, repeated, carried through ranks like echoes in stone halls. Today is no drill, no staged tournament. This is the first true test. The enemy is near, their banners visible over the ridge, a dark wave against the morning sun. You grip your sword, feeling the weight in your hands, feeling your pulse in tandem with the horse's heartbeat. The men beside you murmur prayers, adjust armor, check weapons. Some are young like you once were, eager and terrified. Some are seasoned, hardened, carrying stories and scars you cannot yet comprehend. The ground trembles as the first charge begins. Horses snort and paw. Steel collides with steel in the distance. The smell of blood drifts on the wind. You cannot look away. Your commander shouts. You obey. Position yourself at the front, shield raised, sword ready. Every step is deliberate, every motion learned through years of training. The lessons of pages, squires, knights of polishing armor, endless drills, all converge in this moment. The first clash is chaos. A knight falls beside you, unhorsed, struggling. You dive in, gripping him under the arm, lifting him clear of the mud. His eyes are wide, fear, relief, shock. He cannot speak. You carry him back behind the line, placing him safely among the wounded. No one applauds, no one even notices. A scream pierces the din. A comrade is cut down. The ground erupts with violence. Every instinct, every training exercise, every bit of endurance you have built is tested in the span of heartbeats. You swing your sword, parry a strike, step aside from a lance thrust. Time dilates, slows, becomes a tunnel of movement and sound and survival. You are not thinking of glory. You are not thinking of honor. You are thinking only of staying upright, staying alive, and helping those you can. The battle stretches on. Minutes become hours. Exhaustion seeps into your muscles, your bones, your mind. Pain is constant, yet irrelevant. Every bruise, every cut, every burning muscle is a reminder you are living what you trained for. And yet, amid the terror, small acts of courage emerge. A soldier shields a fleeing child. A knight yields mercy when none expects it. You find a rhythm, a strange harmony in the chaos, offense, defense, retreat, advance. By the time the sun rises high, the enemy falls back. The battlefield is silent, save for groans and the creaking of armor. You stand among men who survived, who fought, who endured. Your body aches, your soul trembles, yet you are alive. Your first true test is complete, and in the quiet aftermath, you understand this is not the end. It is only the beginning. You glance at your sword, at your armor, at the men who trusted you beside them, and you know, as you always have, that rising again tomorrow will demand the same strength, the same courage, the relentless persistence, because that is knighthood, not a title, not ceremony, not song, but the endurance to face what comes, act with what small measure of honor you can, and rise again. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the weight of battle settle. The first true test is behind you, and the road ahead stretches long, dark, and unyielding.
Silence falls over the field, heavy and thick. Bodies lie scattered, banners torn, and the air smells of iron and smoke. You move carefully among the fallen, assessing, aiding, sometimes only bearing witness. Each face tells a story, some of courage, some of fear, some of mistakes made too late. Your squire comes to your side, eyes wide. He hesitates, unsure whether to look away or follow. You place a hand on his shoulder. "Learn this," you whisper. "The living carry the weight of the fallen." He nods, swallowing hard, absorbing the lesson like sponge into stone. Among the survivors, bonds form silently. No words, no toasts, no gestures of camaraderie. Only the shared understanding that you faced death together and survived. Trust is no longer given lightly. It is earned in the marrow of battle. You examine your armor, dents, scratches, streaks of blood, yours and others. Every imperfection a story, a memory of the strikes you took and deflected. You notice the sword you borrowed from a fallen knight. He is gone, yet his weapon continues your fight. The connection between blade and bearer, life and steel, becomes undeniable. The wounded are tended. Priests and medics move swiftly, muttering prayers and curses in equal measure. You assist where you can, learning the anatomy of survival as well as the anatomy of war. Bandages soaked in blood, splints tied clumsily, pain stifled by necessity. You do not flinch. This is the reality no tale or song will capture. Later, the men gather around makeshift fires, faces illuminated by flickering light, shadows long and harsh. There is laughter, low, dry, brief, but it carries the relief of those who escaped death's grasp. Stories are exchanged quietly. Who fell, who ran, who struck the most, who hesitated. You listen, absorbing the rhythm of their survival. Among them, you notice knights who are more than warriors. They are leaders, guardians of their men. They check the weak, share rations, offer words of encouragement. This is where you learn the subtleties of command. Courage alone does not make a knight. Empathy, foresight, and restraint, these are equally vital. Your squire approaches again, this time more confidently. He hands you your sword, clean and polished, though marred with streaks from the battle. "You did well," he says. No praise, no flourish, just acknowledgement. You nod, knowing the weight of his words is heavier than any accolade.
The dawn is gray, heavy with mist. Smoke from yesterday's battle still clings to the ground, curling around broken weapons and shattered banners. The air tastes of iron and fear, of sweat and sorrow. You step carefully, boots sinking into mud, heart still racing from the chaos. Your squire follows at a measured pace. He has seen too much too soon, but he endures. Endurance is what separates the survivors from the forgotten. You do not speak much. Words are heavy here. Instead, your actions teach more than any sermon could. The field is quiet now, deceptively calm. Crows pick through the remnants, unbothered by the human toll. You pause, watching, and for a moment the world feels indifferent. This is the first lesson of true battle. The earth does not mourn your losses. It does not honor your courage. Only you carry the weight. You tend to the wounded where you can. Some are strong, others barely clinging to life. Every touch, every bandage, every whispered instruction counts. You learn the limits of your skill, the patience required to keep another alive. And you learn the limits of mercy. Sometimes you cannot save them all. The knights gather, murmuring among themselves. Reports are exchanged, plans for the next march laid out. You listen carefully, memorizing names, places, movements. This knowledge is power, but it comes with responsibility. Every decision now ripples outward, touching lives in ways you cannot predict. Your own armor bears the scars of the fight, dents, scratches, blood. Your body remembers every blow. You examine it, tracing the marks with calloused fingers. Each tells a story, a testament to survival and endurance. The sword at your side feels heavier now, not just from its weight, but from the memories it carries. The squire approaches once more, holding a small bundle of supplies. He offers it silently. You nod, accepting the gesture. It is not grand, but it is enough. Small acts of care keep the spirit alive in a world built to crush it. By mid-morning, the camp is stirring. The wounded are being transported to safer grounds, the dead collected for rites that feel distant and inadequate. You help where needed, moving without complaint, learning that leadership is often invisible work. Orders given softly, tasks done without acknowledgement. This is how a knight earns the respect of those who truly follow him. You pause at the edge of the camp, looking at the horizon. Fields stretch outward, unchanged, unaware of the blood shed upon them. A wind stirs, cool against your sweat-soaked armor. It reminds you that life continues, indifferent yet insistent. Tomorrow you will ride again. Tomorrow the weight of your oath will demand action once more. In these quiet moments, reflection becomes a teacher. You think of those who fell, of promises kept and broken, of courage found in the smallest acts. You understand that knighthood is not about victory alone. It is about endurance, judgment, mercy, and the unwavering commitment to rise after every fall. Your squire watches, eyes wide, absorbing everything. One day he will carry these lessons too, and the cycle continues. The bond of blade and bearer, the silent promise of survival, the relentless pursuit of honor in a world that offers little of it. You take a deep breath, feeling the exhaustion in every muscle. Your hands still ache from yesterday, your body bruised and stiff, but your mind is alert, aware, ready. Because a knight's work never truly ends. Only those who endure, who rise, who act with measured courage will survive the next dawn. You sheathe your sword, adjust your armor, and look to your squire. "Ready," you say simply. He nods, and together you march forward, through mud, through blood, through the quiet and the storm, always forward. The sun barely rises above the horizon. Its light is pale, filtered through clouds heavy with rain. The air is damp, biting, carrying the scent of wet earth and worn leather. You mount your horse, feeling the familiar weight of armor pressing against your shoulders. Your squire adjusts your gauntlets, hands precise despite trembling from yesterday's exertion. You do not speak. There is no need. Actions matter more here than words. You check your sword, the edge still sharp, the hilt familiar against your calloused palm. The army moves in silence, a chain of disciplined bodies trudging through mud and mist. Boots sink, wheels groan, banners droop under the weight of rain. This is not a parade, it is survival, one step after another. The ground is unkind, swallowing horses' hooves and man alike. You learn quickly to trust your footing, to anticipate the shifts beneath you. Conversations are muted, whispers carried only when necessary. Orders are given by commanders with voices hoarse from shouting over previous battles. Every man knows the stakes, yet fear simmers beneath discipline. You feel it too, a tight knot in your chest, reminding you that death is never far. Your squire mirrors your movements, observing how you mount, how you shift weight, how you brace against sudden jolts. He will remember this. This is how experience is passed, not through lectures, but through presence, through imitation, through silent endurance. Hours stretch into days. The march is relentless. Rain soaks your armor and clothes, chills your body, seeps into every joint. Hunger gnaws, but you push it aside, conserving strength for what comes next. The weak fall behind, the strong keep pace. You remind yourself, strength is survival, endurance is honor. Along the route, villages appear like ghosts, smoke rising from chimneys, doors opening and closing. People watch silently, wary of armed men in glistening steel. Some bow, some flee. You offer no gestures, your presence is enough. You have learned that mercy is sometimes unspoken, sometimes given, sometimes withheld for necessity. At night, you make camp wherever the commander allows. Tents are pitched hastily, fires struggle against rain, and every man seeks warmth where he can. You check your horse, clean the worst mud from armor, inspect weapons. Routine becomes ritual, ritual becomes survival. The squire looks to you for guidance, for reassurance. There is little to offer beyond example. You do not promise safety. You promise only preparation, vigilance, and the discipline that might keep him alive. Sleep comes in broken stretches. Your body aches, joints stiff, back sore from saddle and armor alike. Dreams are heavy with past battles, with the faces of fallen comrades. You wake before dawn because the world does not wait for rest, and neither can you. Every day is a test of courage, judgment, patience, and endurance. You understand now that knighthood is less about glory and more about persistence, about showing up again and again when the ground is wet, the body tired, the heart weary. And still, amidst the mud, the cold, and the endless march, you find fleeting moments of clarity. A bird cutting across the gray sky, a deer slipping through a distant wood, a glimpse of sunrise through storm clouds. These are reminders that life continues, that beauty exists even here. They are fragile, they are rare, they are enough. You adjust your gauntlets once more, grip your sword, and nudge your horse forward. The army moves with you, the rhythm of hooves and wheels carrying a silent promise, endurance. Forward, always forward, because tomorrow, as always, the world will demand it.
The dawn is quieter than expected. Mist lingers over the fields like a shroud, softening the edges of trees, rocks, and fallen leaves. Your armor feels heavier this morning, damp with condensation. Each movement reminds you of the chain of days behind you, the countless steps taken, the countless lessons learned. The squire approaches, holding a bucket of water. You wash your gauntlets, carefully brushing away dried mud. Each rivet, each joint is inspected. A single failure could cost a life today or tomorrow. You do not speak. Your hands teach what your words cannot. Orders arrive on the wind, shouted by men already soaked and weary. You nod to the rider, understanding without discussion. Your horse shifts beneath you, sensing your tension. Trust between man and beast is as vital as any blade. The camp stirs. Other knights mount, checking armor, adjusting helmets, sharpening blades. The air is electric, filled with anticipation and unspoken dread.
You notice the younger squires watching, wide-eyed. They have not yet felt the weight of real responsibility. You remember yourself at that age, eager, untested, and trembling. The march begins again, boots squelching in the mud, wheels creaking under the weight of provisions and weaponry. You move with precision, aware of every shift of terrain, every drop of rain, every glance of a comrade. Battle could come at any moment, or it could come hours away. Either way, vigilance does not pause. The landscape is relentless. Hills rise and fall, soaked and treacherous. The river cuts across your path, its waters swollen, dark, unforgiving. You guide your horse carefully, choosing each step deliberately, knowing that a single mistake could tumble man and mount alike. Conversations are minimal, murmurs only, as if sound itself carries danger. You observe everything, the patterns of clouds, the tracks of other riders, the signs of ambush. Experience whispers to you through instinct, through memory of battles past. You do not fear, you respect. At midday you pause briefly. Food is meager, hard bread, salted meat, a few dried fruits. The squire eats sparingly, watching your actions closely. You teach by example. Pace yourself, conserve energy, respect the horse, respect the chain of command. Every lesson is survival. A distant horn sounds, eyes narrow, grips tighten. You know the drill. Formation shifts, orders repeated silently from man to man. Steel is drawn, shields raised. You feel the pulse of tension roll through the camp like thunder without lightning. Moments like these remind you that knighthood is not just about courage, it is about patience, observation, discipline, and restraint. One wrong step, one impulsive act, and all can be lost. You steady yourself, adjusting gauntlets, reins, and stance. Your squire mirrors every movement, absorbing the rhythm, the discipline. The day stretches onward, a continuum of movement, awareness, and silent preparation. Rain falls steadily now, drenching horse, armor, and flesh. Cold bites at exposed skin. You grit your teeth and move forward anyway, because retreat is not an option, because survival demands persistence. And as the sun struggles through the clouds, casting silver across the wet fields, you find a strange clarity. Life is not only in battle, in orders, in armor. It is in these moments of quiet focus, in the harmony between man, horse, and steel, in the trust shared between knight and squire, in the whispered cadence of marching feet and flowing rivers. Tomorrow the world may demand you raise your sword. Today it demands endurance, and you meet it quietly, steadily, deliberately, step after step.
The horizon trembles. Dust rises in the distance, masking the figures that wait beyond. Your hands tighten on the reins. Your blade rests at your side, heavy but familiar. The squire behind you mirrors every movement, silent, attentive. Orders come, shouts, horn blasts, the clash of distant steel. The air vibrates with tension, charged and electric. You breathe slowly, deliberately. Every heartbeat counts, every step matters. The enemy emerges. Shields glint in muted sunlight, weapons poised, armor glinting cold and merciless. Time slows. The march becomes a charge. The charge becomes a torrent of hooves and metal. Your horse leaps forward, powerful and unyielding. The squire struggles to keep pace, but you guide him with a firm voice and a steady hand. The first clash is brutal. Steel meets steel. Shouts of men collide with the shrill cry of horns. You swing,
parry, block, each movement precise, deliberate, learned through years of toil and endless repetition. The world narrows to the swing of your sword, the tilt of your shield, the rhythm of your mount. You see them, the young knights, the hardened veterans, the squires trembling in fear. They are all human, they are all fragile beneath their armor. But for now, you must be stronger, stronger, steadier, sharper. Blood mixes with mud. The screams of the fallen echo in your ears. A man collapses nearby. You glance, measure, decide. Do you intervene? Do you continue the fight? Experience tells you the choice is seldom clear. You act and let instinct guide you. The squire calls out, voice quivering. You nod once, giving him guidance without breaking your rhythm. He adjusts, survives. A small victory, a small proof that training matters. The clash rages, shields shatter, spears snap, horses falter. You move through it all, a constant in the chaos, eyes scanning, mind calculating, body reacting. Every knight learns that battle is not glorious. It is a test of endurance, of clarity, of the ability to remain human amidst inhumanity. And yet, even now, amidst the violence, there is order. Formation holds, commands echo through mud and rain. You find the rhythm of the fight, the cadence that lets survival meet action. One step, one swing, one breath at a time. A trumpet sounds. The tide shifts. You see the enemy falter. The moment is fleeting. Victory is never final, only temporary. You keep moving, keep fighting, keep existing in the storm. When the melee ends, silence falls. Bodies lie scattered, horses groan. The air tastes of iron, smoke, and the faint whisper of rain. You breathe. The squire breathes. You check your sword, your armor, your reins. You survived, for now. And as you glance across the field, you realize something. Each battle is a lesson. Each step, each swing, each breath teaches you not just how to fight, but how to endure, how to lead, how to remain human when surrounded by steel and death. The path of the knight is not over. It never truly ends. But today, you have walked it well.